we're going to program in Three Little Birds, the reggae piece, into GarageBand. So when GarageBand loads up, click Software Instrument and Create, and you come up with this page. Okay, so we're going to just close that for the moment, and the first thing we're going to do is try and create some drums that are going to suit our piece. So we're going to go to Drum Kit. We want an acoustic drum kit. The ones that I think are probably most suited are Roots. So we're going to try that out. Now on this musical typing keyboard, change the C1 octave down to C2 to C1. That's where our kick drum is. We might want the side rim shot snare there, the snare, and the hi-hat. They're our main parts. Now make sure the metronome is on here. It's probably slightly fast for reggae. So let's bring it down. Let's see, it's metronome at 110. So we want it to be more of a swung rhythm on the drum. So we're going to get that more from the hi-hat pattern. To start with, depending on how confident you feel, you can do it bit by bit. So we could just record the kick drum to start with. So begin at the make sure this is at the beginning of the project. Press record. Okay, that's all I'm going to do for the moment. Double click on it. We want to make sure each of these tracks is quantized and in time as we go. So if you zoom in, you'll see I was a bit eager there and a bit early. So what I'm going to do is press Command A and I'm going to quantize. See the notes move. So this is our kick drum so far. Okay, so I'm now going to just hold down Option and drag that down. That's going to duplicate that track. For this one, I'm just going to call it the kick drum. You could all do it on one track if you want. We're going to go for the rim shot now to add into there. So again, press Command K to get up the keyboard. So the W is the rim shot we want. Something like that, just to get in a pattern. What we do, as we build up these different layers, we might actually decide one doesn't work, we need to amend it, but we're just going to build it up to start with, and then we will then have something to work with. So, press record again. Okay, so again, just double click on the recording, press Command A, and quantize. Let's listen back to that. Okay, close that. Hold down Option again, drag this down. This time, I'm going to type in the snare. We don't need this recording, so delete that. So the snare is on the E on the piano keyboard, represented D on the QWERTY keyboard. Put that in. Double click, Command A, quantize. Okay, now for the hi-hat, we want a lot more notes being played. Something like that. Let's try that in. So So that was very out of time towards the end there. Open it up. Now you'll see there's a lot more notes going on here. Just zooming in. So there's more chance of it quantizing to a rhythm we probably don't want. So we have to be a bit more careful with this. Press Command A. This time I'm going to go for a 16th. Put the loop on. Okay, so there's 4 lines of drums together going. Now to create more of a reggae feel, we now need to add in the chords, the skanks as they're known in Jamaican music, the chords on beats 2 and 4. So we're just going to go for a piano sound. Press Command K to load it up, to load an octave. Three Little Birds, mainly C chord and F chord. So to help with this, we're just going to copy this a few times. So select, hold down Option and drag. That's probably enough for the moment. Okay, so we can have a bit of a practice before we record. So remember the chords are on beats 2 and 4. Okay, let's try and record that in. Now if you're struggling to play any of those, then you can see it's only 2 chords. We could have just programmed them in as well. So if you double click on this, you'll see that a few of the notes are really not as in time as they need to be. Some of them are just different lengths and stuff, which really is nice to have a bit of variation there because we want it to sound a bit more human. This is not an electronic type of music. We're trying to evoke a sound of real instruments. So press Command A and we're going to quantize them just for the moment. Press an 1/8. We can put a loop on for those whole 8 bars now. Okay, so say for instance you've made a mistake over here. You can move notes around. You could delete different notes, you can change the length, and so on. So like I say, if you make a mistake, delete a section, copy a section. Very easy to do in this piano roll. Okay, so now we've got the chords in, the skanks as they're known in reggae, a basic drum beat. We're now going to add in the riff. Okay, so to do that, an organ may sound good in this. So if we go up to organs, we can just try different sounds. Press Command K, up an octave. Maybe jazz organ. Jazz might be the way. Okay, so we're going to go for jazz organ. Quite a high octave here, C4 now, and we're going to have a bit of practice to start with. That's the first riff, starting on the C, and then okay. Okay, so we're going to try and record that in now. Take off the loop, go back to the start. Okay, so take that off, double click and press Command A. So for this we're just going to go for a 16th. I think we need to bring this up a bit in the volume in the mix. Now some of these notes will don't sound quite as good when they overlap like that. So you might want to shorten some notes to make it a bit clearer. Like that. They all look okay. Now, is this rhythm right? It kind of needs to be slightly early like that rhythm. Again, the rhythm's not quite right, is it? You'll see it's varying at different times. Try maybe moving that forward to there. Too early. You have to experiment with what works best with your drum pattern. I'm not convinced by it yet, but that is our main riff. I'm going to spend a bit more time getting that to a rhythmic pattern that we like. Once we've got that, we can repeat it in different parts of the piece. Now the last bit that I want you to add for this section is a bass line. And that'll be difficult to hear through these speakers because I'm playing out through the MacBook speakers. But if you go to bass, a muted bass can sound quite good for this if you press Command K. So within a C chord, your main note will be a C. And within an F chord, your main note is the F. But to make your bass line a bit interesting, you can add in the fifth note of each of the chords. So within a C chord, the C chord is normally C, E and G. We're not going to play the E, but we could occasionally, within the C chord, play the G. And within the F chord, F, A, C, you could occasionally play in the C. So that kind of pattern can make it quite a nice bass line. So we're going to try and record that in now. Make sure you select the right track that you want to record. I went straight for the F. Okay. So again, the computer's lagging slightly, so it's making it a bit difficult to play it in time. Command A, let's stay to the 16th. Now, as it's a bit difficult to hear, I think we're going to mute some of these sounds just to get it a bit more clear. Okay, so let's put this all together. Here we've got what we've got so far. I'm going to copy this again. Maybe what I'll do is I'll hold back the riff for the moment so it comes in at bar 9. So like I say, we still need to work to get this rhythm a bit clearer, but this is what we have so far in the Three Little Birds piece. Okay, so that's the beginning of our piece. If you wanted to carry it on now and add more parts, you could go back into software instruments. It would be maybe nice to add in some kind of brass line. So if you go to orchestral, you go to brass, you could experiment with trumpets, full brass sound, Command A. That sounds a bit orchestral. So the melody is going to need to be added in at some stage, which could be represented by the brass. Now the chords do change a bit there, so we will go on to that stage, but at the moment you could have a kind of introduction motif based on the main melodies that's normally sung. So that's for something you could add in and be a bit more creative with what you add into the part. But the next job in terms of improving this is going to be to work on this jazz organ riff and get this into a pattern that works. But now you can see how to build up the drums using the kick, the rim shot, the snare, the hi-hat, the chords on beats 2 and 4 on the piano, the riff, the bass line, and then adding in some kind of trumpet part.